There is a voice inside you that says you do not belong here, that you have no right to this place, that you sneaked in, that any moment now someone is going to look at you and know. That voice is wrong. Tonight, I want to tell you about a woman who climbed a mountain to a shrine she did not believe she had earned. About what the priest said when he brought her tea, and about who you must have been the very first time someone made you feel you were the wrong kind of person to be asking. Her name was Tsubaki. She was 30 years old. She wore one katana on her left hip, the hilt hand-bound with a deep red cord she rewrapped herself when the cord began to fray. There was a fine scar over her left eye from a teacher who had not known how to teach gently. Her domain had fallen. Her master was dead. The world she had trained for had ended before she turned 20. She had been walking in one direction or another for nearly 10 years. The famous shrine sat at the top of a long mountain road. Pilgrims traveled there from across the country, in groups, in better clothes than hers. That morning she set out alone, in the dark, to climb it. Tsubaki began the climb in the pre-dawn cold. She passed a group of merchants on horseback who did not look at her. She passed a family of 3, carrying offerings wrapped in clean silk. She passed a young priest descending with an empty water bucket, who bowed to her without slowing and continued down. The voice began around the 3rd hour. It said, "The people on this road have a reason. They have a faith. They have a question they were taught how to ask. You have nothing. You have a sword and a scar and an old grief, and you do not know what you are climbing toward." It said, "They will see you, and they will know." Tsubaki did not answer the voice. She had learned over many years that arguing with it made it louder, so she kept walking. She watched the mist move between the pines. She listened to her own breath, in and out, as the road grew steeper. By the time she reached the torii gate at the top, the voice had been with her for hours. She knelt in seiza on the moss-covered stone in front of the small shrine building. Other pilgrims knelt near her. A woman with grey hair, eyes closed, hands joined at her chest. A man in clean travelling robes, lips moving in silent prayer. A child holding a paper offering with both hands. Tsubaki did not pray. She did not know how to pray. She had come up the mountain because something inside her had told her she should, and she had not known what else to obey. The voice said, "Look at them. They know what they are doing here. They were taught. They have a grandmother who told them which words to say. You have no grandmother. You have no teacher anymore. You came here uninvited." The voice said, "You are not a real samurai. You are an empty costume. The cord on your hilt is a lie. The scar on your face is a lie. Even the way you kneel is a lie. You were doing it the way you remember it from when you were a child." Tsubaki kept her eyes lowered. She did not stand. She did not leave. She breathed. The young priest she had passed on the road came back up with the bucket refilled. He moved quietly between the pilgrims. He stopped near the woman with grey hair and offered her a small ceramic cup. He stopped near the man in clean robes and offered him another. He passed the child without a word, and the child did not seem to mind. Then he knelt beside Tsubaki and set a cup of tea on the stone in front of her. Tsubaki did not look up. She said, "I do not think I should drink this." The priest did not move. She said, "I am not what these others are. I have not earned what they came here to ask for." The priest was silent for a long time. The mist moved between the stone lanterns. Somewhere below them on the mountain, a wood thrush called once and stopped. Then the priest said, "Today I have served 31 cups of tea. Yours is the only one I had to walk further to bring." Tsubaki did look up then. The priest said, "The others came in groups, with teachers, with letters of introduction, with companions who knew the road. You came alone. You came in the dark. You came without anyone to confirm for you that you had a right to be on this mountain." He picked up the cup and pressed it gently into her hand. He said, "The shrine has not been waiting for the worthy. It has been waiting for the honest." Tsubaki held the cup. She did not drink, yet. The steam rose between her fingers and curled into the mist. She understood, slowly, that she had had it backwards her whole life. The voice that said, "You are not a real samurai," was the voice of someone who had once been told they were not real either. The voice that said, "You have no right to this place," was the voice of someone who had once been told they had no right to a place they belonged in. The voice was not her judgment of herself. The voice was a memory of someone else's judgment, repeated for so many years that it had begun to sound like her own. The shrine had not been waiting for someone who arrived without doubt. It had been waiting for someone who carried doubt up the mountain anyway, and still arrived. If a voice tells you tonight that you do not belong here, at this table, in this work, in this body, in this life, listen carefully for a moment to whose voice it is. It is almost never your own. It is usually the voice of someone long ago who was afraid that you would discover what they had decided about you was not true. The ones who ask, "Do I belong?" are the ones who do. Belonging is not granted by certainty. Belonging is granted by the willingness to climb the mountain with the question still open, and to kneel down anyway. Drink the tea. The shrine is yours.